Chapter 1 Arjun Ved Yog, lamenting the consequences of war. The Bhagavad Gita, or the Song of God, was revealed by Lord Shree Krishna to Arjun on the threshold of the epic war of Mahabharata. A decisive battle between two sets of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, was just about to commence on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. A detailed account of the reasons that led to such a colossal war is given under Introduction, the setting of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is primarily a conversation between Lord Shree Krishna and Arjun. However, the first chapter begins with a dialogue between King Dhritarashtra and his minister Sanjay. Dhritarashtra, being blind, could not leave his palace in Hastinapur but was eager to know the ongoings of the battlefield. Sanjay was a disciple of Sage Ved Vyas, the author of the epic Mahabharata and several other Hindu scriptures. Sage Ved Vyas possessed a mystic ability to see and hear events occurring in distant places. He had bestowed upon Sanjay the miraculous power of distant vision. Therefore, Sanjay could see and hear what transpired on the battleground of Kurukshetra and gave a first-hand account to King Dhritarashtra while still being in his palace. Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjay, after gathering on the holy field of Kurukshetra and desiring to fight, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do?" The two armies had gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, well prepared to fight a war that was inevitable. Still, in this verse, King Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay what his sons and his brother Pandu's sons were doing on the battlefield. It was apparent that they would fight. Then why did he ask such a question? The blind King Dhritarashtra's fondness for his own sons had clouded his spiritual wisdom and deviated him from the path of virtue. He had usurped the kingdom of Hastinapur from the rightful heirs, the Pandavas, sons of his brother Pandu. Feeling guilty of the injustice he had done towards his nephews, his conscience worried him about the outcome of this battle. The words Dharma Khetre, the land of Dharma, virtuous conduct, used by Dhritarashtra depict the dilemma he was experiencing. Kurukshetra is described as Kurukshetra Deva Yajnam in the Shatapad Brahman, the Vedic textbook detailing rituals. It means Kurukshetra is the sacrificial arena of the celestial gods. Hence, it was regarded as the sacred land that nourished Dharma. Dhritarashtra feared that the holy land might influence the minds of his sons. If it aroused the faculty of discrimination, they might turn away from killing their cousins and negotiate a truce. A peaceful settlement meant that the Pandavas would continue being a hindrance for them. He felt great displeasure at these possibilities, instead preferred that this war transpires. He was uncertain of the consequences of the war, yet desired to determine the fate of his sons. Therefore, he asked Sanjay about the activities of the two armies on the battleground. Sanjay said, on observing the Pandav army standing in military formation, King Duryodhan approached his teacher Dronacharya and said the following words. Sanjay understood Dhritarashtra's concern, who wanted an assurance that the battle would eventuate. Sanjay tried to allay his worry by informing that the Pandav army was standing in a military formation, ready for battle. Then he moved on to tell him what his son Duryodhan was doing on the battlefield. As King Dhritarashtra was blind, his eldest son Duryodhan virtually ruled the kingdom of Hastinapur. In the Mahabharata, he is described as very rude, egoistic, evil and cruel by nature. Since his childhood, he had a strong dislike for the Pandavas and left no opportunity to demean them. He was aware that to rule over the entire kingdom of Hastinapur unchallenged, he needed to eliminate them. However, standing on the battlefield, when he saw the large Pandav army, he was baffled. He had underestimated the Pandavas. The extent of military might they had gathered was way beyond his expectation. Duryodhan approached his guru Dronacharya with the pretense of offering respect, but his actual purpose was to palliate his own nervousness. His move towards his guru also reveals that the mammoth military formation of the Pandav army unnerved him, and he was now fearful of the outcome of this war. The next 9 verses are spoken by Duryodhan. Duryodhan said, "Respected teacher, behold the mighty army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arrayed for battle by your own gifted disciple, the son of Drupad. Duryodhan asked Dronacharya to look at the skillfully arranged military phalanx of the Pandav army led by their commander-in-chief Dhristadyumna, King Drupad's son. He was also one of Dronacharya's pupils. Duryodhan was subtly reminding his teacher of a mistake he had committed in the past. Many years back, Dronacharya along with the Pandavas had defeated King Drupad in a battle and took away half his kingdom. To avenge his defeat, Drupad performed a sacrifice to beget a son. Dhristadyumna was born out of that sacrificial fire, with a boon that he would kill Dronacharya in the future. Even though Dronacharya was aware, when he was approached for Dhristadyumna's military training, he very humbly accepted and imparted all his knowledge impartially to his pupil. Duryodhan was reminding Dronacharya that even though Dhristadyumna was his pupil, he was also Drupad's son, with a boon to kill him. He wanted to ensure that, as in the past, Dronacharya should not become lenient towards his pupils now that they were on the battlefield. Behold, in their ranks are many powerful warriors like Yuyudhan, Virat, and Drupad, wielding mighty bows and equal in military prowess to Bhim and Arjun. There are also accomplished heroes like Drishtaketu, Chaitanya, the gallant king of Kashi, Purujit, Kuntibhoj, and Shaibya, all the best of men. In their ranks, they also have the courageous Yudhamanyu, the gallant Uttamoja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi, who are all great warrior chiefs. Due to his anxiety, the Pandav army seemed much larger to Duryodhan than it actually was. He had never expected his opponents would mobilize an army of warriors with such military prowess, who would be formidable in battle. Out of fear of the looming catastrophe, he started enumerating the names of all the Maraths, warriors who were singly equivalent in strength to 10,000 ordinary warriors gathered on the Pandav side. They were all exceptional heroes and great military commanders, equivalent in valor to his cousins Arjun and Bhim. O best of Brahmins, hear too about the principal generals on our side, who are especially qualified to lead. These I now recount unto you. Dronacharya was a teacher of military science and not really a warrior. However, he was on the battlefield as one of the commanders of the Kaurava army. An impudent Duryodhan even doubted the loyalty of his own preceptor. Cunning Duryodhan purposefully addressed his teacher as Dvijottama, best amongst the twice-born or Brahmins. His denigrating and veiled reminder for Dronacharya was that if he did not display his valor in this battle, he would be considered a lowly Brahman, who was only interested in the fine food and lavish lifestyle at the king's palace. Then, to cover up his vicious words and boost his teachers and his own morale, Duryodhan started naming all the great generals present on the Kaurava side, describing their valor and military expertise. There are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarn, and Bhurishrava, who are ever victorious in battle. Also, there are many other heroic warriors who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. They are all skilled in the art of warfare and equipped with various kinds of weapons. The strength of our army is unlimited and we are safely marshalled by Grandsire Bhishma, while the strength of the Pandav army, carefully marshalled by Bhim, is limited. The commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army was Grandsire Bhishma. Apart from being an exceptional warrior, he had an extraordinary boon. He could choose the time of his death. This meant he was practically invincible. Duryodhan felt that under Bhishma's command their army was undefeatable, whereas the Pandav army was secured by Duryodhan's sworn enemy, Bhima. Hence, he started comparing his grandfather Bhishma's strength with his cousin Bhima. Vinash kale viprit buddhi, as the proverb goes, which means that when the end draws near, egoistic people indulge in vainglory instead of being humble in evaluating their situation. This tragic irony of fate is reflected here in Duryodhan's self-aggrandizing statement that their army's strength secured by Bhishma was unlimited. However, both Kauravas and Pandavas were Bhishma's grandchildren, and as the oldest living member of the Kuru family, he was concerned about their welfare. He was compassionate towards the Pandavas, but was bound by his ethical commitment towards the throne of Hastinapur and its subjects. Therefore, half-heartedly, he led the Kaurava army against them. Bhishma was also aware that in this holy war, Along with all the great warriors of the world, the Supreme Lord Krishna himself was present. Lord Krishna was with the Pandavas, which meant Dharma was on their side, and no power in the entire universe could make the side of Adharma win. He had vowed to protect the kingdom of Hastinapur and its subjects, and to fulfill his responsibility towards them, Bhishma led the Kaurava army, even though he was aware of their wrongdoings. This decision of Bhishma accentuates his strength of character and enigmatic personality. Therefore, I call upon all the generals of the Kaurava army now to give full support to Grandsire Bhishma, even as you defend your respective strategic points. Duryodhan urged all the Kaurava generals to make sure they are around Grandsire Bhishma and give him full support while they defend their own respective positions in the military phalanx. Duryodhan beheld Bhishma's unassailability as an advantage and wanted to use it as strength and inspiration for his army. Then, the grand old man of the Kuru dynasty, the glorious patriarch Bhishma, roared like a lion and blew his conch shell very loudly, giving joy to Duryodhan. Bhishma was aware that Duryodhan had no chance of victory as the Supreme Lord Shree Krishna was on the opposite side. However, he understood his grandnephew's anxiety, and to cheer him up he blew his conch shell loudly. In olden days, blowing of the conch shell in the battlefield signaled the start of the war. This also conveyed to Duryodhan that Bhishma was ready to lead the Kaurava army, and he would fight dutifully and spare no pain. Thereafter, conches, kettle drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns suddenly blared forth, and their combined sound was overwhelming. On hearing Bhishma's call for battle, everyone in the Kaurava army also started playing various instruments eagerly, creating tumultuous sound. Shak means conches, Pava drums, Nak kettle drums, Bhreya bugles, and Gomukhar blowing horns. All these instruments playing together created a loud pandemonium. Then, from amidst the Pandav army, seated in a glorious chariot drawn by white horses, Madhav and Arjun blew their divine conch shells. The uproar of the Kaurava army had started to wane. Then from the Pandav side, seated on a magnificent chariot, the Supreme Lord Shree Krishna and Arjun both blew their conch shells intrepidly, which ignited the enthusiasm of the Pandav army as well. Here, Sanjay has addressed Lord Shree Krishna as Madhav. It is a combination of two words, Ame with Macron, which refers to Goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, and Dhav is used for husband. Goddess Lakshmi is Lord Vishnu's wife, who is one of the many forms of Shree Krishna. This verse implies that the goddess of prosperity was with the Pandavas, and by her grace, they would be triumphant in this war and reclaim their kingdom soon. The sons of King Pandu are called Pandavas, and it may be used for any of the 5 brothers. In this verse, the Pandav being referred to is Arjun, the third among the 5. He was a mighty warrior and a superior archer. His magnificent chariot was a gift from Agni, the celestial god of fire. Rishikesh blew his conch shell, called Panchajanya, and Arjun blew the Devdutta. Bhim, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his mighty conch, called Pondra. In this verse, Sri Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh, which means the lord of the mind and senses. Sri Krishna is the sovereign master of everybody's minds and senses. Throughout his wonderful pastimes, he displayed complete control over his mind and senses. King Yudhishthir blew the Anantavijay, while Nakul and Sahadev blew the Sughosh and Manipushpak. The excellent archer and king of Kashi, the great warrior Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virat, and the invincible Satyaki, Drupad, the 5 sons of Draupadi, and the mighty-armed Abhimanyu, son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells, O ruler of the earth. Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandav, is being addressed here as king. He always displayed royal grace and nobility, whether living in a palace or in a forest when in exile. He also got this title by performing the Rajasya Yajna, a royal sacrifice, which earned him tributes from all the other kings of the world. In this verse, Sanjay also called Dhritarashtra ruler of the earth. The real reason for this appellation was to remind him of his duties as the ruler of the country. With so many kings and princes participating from both sides in this war, it was as if the entire earth was split into 2 parties. It was definite that this mammoth war would cause irreversible destruction. The only person who could stop the war at this juncture was Dhritarashtra, and Sanjay wanted to know if he was willing to do that. The terrific sound thundered across the sky and the earth, and shattered the hearts of your sons, O Dhritarashtra. Sanjay conveyed to Dhritarashtra that the tremendous sound of the various conch shells from the Pandav army was shattering the hearts of his sons, whereas he did not mention any such reaction from the Pandavas when the Kauravas were creating a commotion. The Kauravas were fearful, as their conscience pricked them for their crimes and misdeeds. They were relying solely on their physical strength to fight the war. However, the Pandavas were confident and felt protected. As the Supreme Lord Shree Krishna was by their side, their victory was definite. At that time, the son of Pandu, Arjun, who had the insignia of Hanuman on the flag of his chariot, took up his bow. Seeing your sons arrayed against him, O king, Arjun then spoke the following words to Shree Krishna. Here Sanjay addresses Arjun by another name, Kapidhwaj, which means monkey bannered. This denotes the presence of the mighty monkey god, Hanuman, on Arjun's chariot. It so happened that once Arjun became very boastful of his archery skills and quipped at Sri Krishna. He said, I do not understand why during Lord Rama's time, the monkeys worked so hard to make a bridge from India to Lanka with heavy stones. If I was there, I would have made a bridge of arrows. The omniscient Lord asked him, all right, go ahead, show me your bridge. Very skillfully, Arjun showered thousands of arrows and made a huge bridge. Now, it was time to test it. Sri Krishna called upon great Hanuman for the job. As soon as Hanuman started walking on the bridge, it started crumbling under his feet. Arjun realized his folly. His bridge of arrows could not have upheld the weight of Lord Rama's huge army. He asked for their forgiveness. Subsequently, Hanuman gave Arjun lessons on being humble and never be proud of his skills. He also granted Arjun a boon that, during the Great War, he would seat himself on Arjun's chariot. Therefore, Arjun's chariot flag carried the insignia of the great Hanuman. Arjun said, O infallible one, please take my chariot to the middle of both armies, so that I may look at the warriors arrayed for battle, whom I must fight in this great combat. Arjun was a skilled warrior, and the most powerful Hanuman was sitting on top of his magnificent chariot. Moreover, his devotion towards the Supreme Lord Shree Krishna was such that the Lord himself had agreed to be Arjun's charioteer. Here, Arjun was seated on the passenger seat giving instructions to Shree Krishna, his charioteer. He addresses the Lord as Achyut, the most dependable one, and requests him to place the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Although I am supremely independent, yet I become enslaved by my devotees. They are very dear to me, and I become indebted to them for their love. Such is the beauty of God's bond with his devotees that he gets enslaved, beholden by his devotees' love. I desire to see those who have come here to fight on the side of the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra, wishing to please him. Arjun was fearless. The Supreme Lord was his charioteer. His outlook was that the Pandavas were legitimately entitled to half the kingdom of Hastinapur, but the wicked sons of Dhritarashtra, the Kauravas, had not agreed to share. Arjun was ready for battle, eager to get back what was rightfully theirs and punish them for all their past wrongdoings. His request for the chariot to be placed in the middle of the battlefield was to take a closer look at the Kaurava army. Arjun wanted to see all those who had taken the side of injustice. He wanted to punish them equally. As they had chosen to be on the wrong side, none of them would be spared. Sanjay said, O Dhritarashtra, having thus been addressed by Arjun, the conqueror of sleep, Sri Krishna then drew the magnificent chariot between the two armies. Here, Dhritarashtra is being addressed as Bhrata by Sanjay, which means, O descendant of the great King Bharat. In the presence of Bhishma, Dronacharya, and all the other kings, Sri Krishna said, O Parth, behold these Kurus gathered here. Sri Krishna called Arjun Parth, son of Pritha, another name for his mother Kunti. Then he pointed at all the warriors like Bhishma, Drona and other kings on the Kaurava side and deliberately used the word Kuru to address them. It was to remind Arjun that both Kauravas and Pandavas were all descendants of the great King Kuru. Therefore, the enemy he was so eager to kill was actually his own family and relatives. The omniscient Lord was sowing the seed of delusion in Arjun's mind, only to eliminate it later. He was preparing the ground for the gospel he was about to preach, the Bhagavad Gita, which would benefit the future generations in the age of Kali. There, Arjun could see stationed in both armies, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, cousins, sons, nephews, grandnephews, friends, fathers-in-law, and well-wishers. Seeing all his relatives present there, Arjun, the son of Kunti, was overwhelmed with compassion and with deep sorrow spoke the following words. Shree Krishna's words had the desired effect on Arjun. Looking at the armies on both sides of the battlefield, his heart sunk. They were all Kurus, his relatives. The brave warrior who wanted to punish the Kauravas for all their wickedness a few minutes back suddenly became fearful. Comprehending the devastation this war would cause, his valor started to diminish. Hence, Sanjay has called him Kaunteya, the son of Kunti, denoting that Arjun had become soft-hearted, similar to his mother. However, Arjun was now very confused and his mind filled with questions. Arjun said, "O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen arrayed for battle here and intent on killing each other, my limbs are giving way and my mouth is drying up." Arjun realized that all the warriors on the battlefield ready to shed blood were none other than his own relatives, friends, and family. He was filled with remorse and fearful of performing his duty of fighting this war. The cause for these sentiments was his attachment towards his bodily relatives. He became forgetful of his spiritual existence, that he was not just the body. His affection for his bodily relatives had blinded his consciousness. In the materialistic concept, we consider ourselves to be only the body, which is emotionally attached to all its bodily relatives. As this attachment is based on ignorance, it carries with it the physical burdens of life like pain, sorrow, grief, and death. Only the death of the physical body can end these materialistic attachments. We are more than just the physical body. Our eternal souls are beyond life and death. Tangled in the various attachments of the material world, we keep forgetting that the Supreme Lord is our only permanent relative. He is the father, mother, friend, master, and beloved of our soul. My whole body shudders. My hair is standing on end. My bow, the Sage Ved Vyas, is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning all over. My mind is in quandary and whirling in confusion. I am unable to hold myself steady any longer. O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon, I only see omens of misfortune. I do not foresee how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Here Arjun has addressed Sri Krishna as Keshava, killer of a demon called Keshi. Yet, for Arjun the thought of killing his own relatives troubled him to such an extent that his body started to tremble. He was unable to even hold his magnificent bow Sage Ved Vyas, which could emit sounds that petrified even the most powerful enemies. Arjun had become so disillusioned that superstition started gripping him. He could only see bad omens indicating severe devastation. Thus, he felt it would be a sin to engage in such a battle. O Krishna, I do not desire victory, kingdom, or the happiness accruing to it. Of what avail will be a kingdom, pleasures, or even life itself, when the very persons for whom we covet them are standing before us for battle? Taking away someone's life itself is immoral, and killing a relative is considered even more sinful. Arjun was in a dilemma. What would he gain with victory achieved by such a heinous act? It would not give him any joy, as he would have lost all the people who mattered to him. Detachment to worldly assets is a commendable virtue. Even though Arjun's thoughts were moral and virtuous, they were not spiritual sentiments. They were budding out of compassion and attachment towards his relatives. Spiritual sentiments bestow peace, harmony, and happiness to a soul. However, Arjun's situation was not such. He was disillusioned, confused, and losing control over his body and mind. Teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, Maternal uncles, grandsons, fathers-in-law, grandnephews, brothers-in-law, and other kinsmen are present here, staking their lives and riches. O Madhusudan, I do not wish to slay them, even if they attack me. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, what satisfaction will we derive from the dominion over the three worlds? What to speak of this earth? Arjun looked at the vast gathering of warriors on the battlefield and started considering his relationships with them. His teachers, Dronacharya and Kripacharya, grand-uncle Bhishma and Somadutta, Bhurishrawa, Somdatta's son, Kuntibhoj, Purujit, Shalya, and Shakuni his maternal uncles. The 100 Kauravas were his uncle Dhritarashtra's sons. Their sons, grandsons, and several other relatives had all assembled there prepared for a battle till death. Twice in this verse, Arjun used the word API, which means even though. He addresses Shree Krishna as Madhusudan, the killer of a demon named Madhu, and says, O Madhusudan, I do not wish to kill them even though I am aware they are eager to do so. Again, he says, even though for the sake of victory over the three worlds we fight, what joy would we get by killing our own folks? O maintainer of all living entities, what pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Even though they may be aggressors, sin will certainly come upon us if we slay them. Hence, it does not behove us to kill our own cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra, and friends. O Madhav, Krishna, how can we hope to be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Similar to the previous verses, Arjun continues to explicate his unwillingness to kill his relatives by using the words, even though, again. Addressing Sri Krishna as Janardana, sustainer of the populace, he said, even though I am aware that they are willing to attack us, I feel it would be a sin to kill my uncle Dhritarashtra's sons. Then addressing him as Madhav, goddess Lakshmi's husband, Arjun said, it is not proper on our part to kill our cousins and relatives. How can we ever be happy by doing such a deed? Under most circumstances, killing or taking someone's life is considered a grave sin, which subsequently causes guilt and repentance. The Vedas state, Ame vid Macron hinsit sarv bhatani, do not kill any living being. Unless absolutely necessary in an extreme situation, violence in any form is a sin and non-violence a superior virtue. In Arjun's case, even though the enemy's wrong deeds were unpardonable, he was not willing to kill them considering it to be immoral. However, according to Vasya Smriti, verse 3.19, under 6 circumstances it is acceptable to kill, in order to protect themselves from such enemies who have set fire to their property, tried to poison them, conspired to murder, loot their wealth, kidnap or dishonor their women, or seize their kingdom. Even the Manu Smriti, 8.351, mentions that it is not considered a sin if someone kills an attacker in self-defense. Their thoughts are overpowered by greed and they see no wrong in annihilating their relatives or wreaking treachery upon friends. Yet, O Janardhan, Krishna, why should we, who can clearly see the crime in killing our kindred, not turn away from the sin? Arjun was a proclaimed warrior, but due to his righteous nature, he tried to avoid violence whenever possible. This side of his character is well revealed in an incident that took place towards the end of the Mahabharata war. Duryodhan was badly injured, and only a handful of warriors were remaining on the Kaurava side. Ashwathama was one of them. He wanted to avenge his father Dronacharya and his friends Kauravas' death. He sneaked into the Pandav camp at night while everyone was fast asleep and went on a carnage. Several warriors, including Draupadi's 5 sons, were killed in this attack. The Pandavas, along with Draupadi and Shree Krishna, were away that night. When they returned to the camp, they were devastated. Arjun went after Ashwathama, caught him and threw him at the feet of Draupadi, who was grieving the death of her young sons. Bhim was raged and wanted to kill Ashwathama right away. But Draupadi was a soft-hearted lady of forgiving nature. She said that Ashwathama was their Guru Drona's son and a Brahman. Therefore, they should forgive him. Arjun was unsure what to do next and wanted guidance from Sri Krishna, who then said, a respectworthy Brahman must be forgiven even if he may have temporarily fallen from virtue. But a person who approaches to kill with a lethal weapon must certainly be punished. Arjun understood what the Lord meant. He did not kill Ashwatthama. Instead, he cut his Brahman's tuft, removed the jewel of immense power from his forehead, and let him go. One should not squabble with the Brahman who performs the fire sacrifice, the family priest, teacher, maternal uncle, guest, dependent children, elders, doctor or relatives. Arjun was aware that killing one's own relatives was a great sin. He said to Sri Krishna, "Greed has blinded them, Kauravas. And they do not realize that it is a great sin to kill their own relatives and friends. But why should we do the same thing when we can avoid this transgression? When a dynasty is destroyed, its traditions get vanquished, and the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. The elder members of the family bear age-old traditions, customs, ideals and noble values of a community, which they pass on to their next generations. These traditions help nurture moral values in families and build religious propriety in a society. If the elders die early, their valuable knowledge goes with them, and in the absence of proper guidance, the next generation sways away from the virtuous path. Therefore, Arjun was of the opinion that the elders of a family should be spared. With the preponderance of vice, O Krishna, the women of the family become immoral. And from the immorality of women, O descendant of Vrishni, unwanted progeny are born. Women occupied a very high status in Vedic society. For families to be religious and societies to be moral, it is necessary that their women be virtuous. According to the Manu Smriti, Yatra Nryastu Pjante Rammante Tatra Devat 3.56, societies where women are worshipped, for they are chaste and virtuous, the celestial gods are joyous. Arjun became concerned and started comprehending what would happen to the society in the absence of guidance and protection of elders. The women of the family may get misled. Therefore, Arjun said to Sri Krishna that if the women of the family turn towards immorality and commit adultery, they would bear illegitimate children. This would not only destroy peace and happiness of the future generations but also deprive the ancestors of their Vedic rights. Family traditions will be abandoned and the welfare of society will be at stake. An increase in unwanted children results in hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family. Deprived of sacrificial offerings, the ancestors of such corrupt families also fall. Through the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted progeny, a variety of social and family welfare activities are ruined. O Janardhan, Krishna, I have heard from the learned that those who destroy family traditions dwell in hell for an indefinite period of time. Alas, how strange it is that we have set our mind to perform this great sin with horrifying consequences. Driven by the desire for kingly pleasures, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. It would be better if, with weapons in hand, the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Arjun was surprised. Despite being aware that this war would only bring misfortune to all, those who were in the battlefield and the families they would leave behind, they were all hankering to commit this sin. He started with the word Aho, which means alas. He had enumerated all the possible catastrophes that were imminent if this war took place, but he was ignoring the very fact that if the wrongdoers were not punished, it would cause greater damage to the society. Often, we keep blaming the circumstances or others but turn a blind eye towards our own weaknesses. Arjun's justification for not killing his greedy cousins and relatives was driven by his own attachment and compassion towards them. Even though he felt it was a sin to kill them, as they were his relatives, he did not realize that his sentiments were actually materialistic and not transcendental. Blinded by compassion, he had forgotten his dharma as a warrior, that he was beyond this material body. His delusion had come to a point where he was willing to drop his weapons and allow his enemy to kill him unarmed. Sanjay said. Speaking thus, Arjun cast aside his bow and arrows and sunk into the seat of his chariot, his mind in distress and overwhelmed with grief. Arjun's reluctance to fight the war had now reached its climax. He had now surrendered to his grief and slumped into deep dejection. His condition was the creation of his own material attachments and caused his dereliction of duty. This was a completely unexpected behavior from someone who was considered the epitome of devotion and self-surrender to God. In fact, before the battle, when both parties were mobilizing their armies, given a choice between the entire armed Yadu army and the unarmed Lord Shree Krishna, Arjun chose the Lord as he had complete faith in him. At this point, let us consider who Arjun really was. He was definitely not a novice, bereft of spiritual knowledge. His celestial father was Indra, the king of heaven. Arjun had been to his abode and received several boons from him and other celestial beings. In his past life, Arjun was Nar, part of the twin dissensions the Nar-Narayan, where Nar was the perfected soul situated in transcendental knowledge and Narayan the Supreme Lord. Then why in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, a grand warrior of such stature was dropping his weapons? What was the cause of his misery? For the benefit of future generations, Sri Krishna wanted to bring forth the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. By intentionally confusing Arjun, the Lord had created this opportunity. In this chapter, Arjun put forth to the Lord several arguments and justifications why he should not fight this war. And in the subsequent chapters, Sri Krishna has elaborated upon why Arjun's arguments were inappropriate and the way forward.